Hello you and welcome back to Scandinavian Design 101. I'm Sanna.
I'm Andreas and we're two Swedes and we love design. And today we will show you some of our personal favorites among the objects sold at the recent Modern Art plus Design auction held by the auction house Bukowskis in Stockholm. Last year we were a bit critical against the Swedish auction houses and their quality auctions. We thought they lacked interesting and unusual objects, so we were quite disappointed. Mm-hmm. But this spring, Bukowskis really got their revenge with an auction filled with a long range of rare and amazing pieces. And we will now show you 20 of them. Let's get to it. At the auction, there was a really nice collection of early Marcel Breuer furniture. For example, these two B3 armchairs produced by Standard Möbel in Germany. One of them was a first edition with a slightly different frame, produced in 1926-27, and the second one was produced about 1 year later. Surprisingly, the extremely rare first edition chair was sold for way less than the other one. And it was reupholstered, but I still think that less than $6,000 was kind of a bargain. And I wouldn't be surprised if this was the first time ever this model was sold in Sweden, so it's extremely rare.
Yeah. We felt the need to include something other than furniture lamps, so we chose this very weird ceramic sculpture by the Swedish ceramicist Hans Hedberg. Mm-hmm. He's known for his realistic sculptures portraying eggs and fruits. And this lemon is a great example of this.
Yeah.
It was made in the early 1990s. And it's quite large, almost 60 centimeters long. I personally think it's ridiculous to buy a lemon for this kind of money. I don't know about you guys, but I do think it's fun, actually. And I like this one more than most other of his sculptures.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's why we included it.
Yeah. And, as always, there were several pieces of furniture by the Swedish designer Axel-Akin Hjorth. And since we're no big fan of his simplistic pinewood furniture, we will instead show you these two geometric display cabinets made by Nordiska Kompaniet in 1929, and they were made to be used at the fashion store Oscar Beckman in Stockholm. I mean, they look great and are really useful too.
Yeah.
I would love to fill them with our collection of curiosities and stuff. I mean,
would be great.
Yeah. And I also think the price was really reasonable because if you buy two low quality cabinets in a furniture store today, they will be almost this much. So yeah,
it's stupid.
Yeah.
As always on these kinds of auctions, several large carpets could be found. And this yellow composition is called Nejlikan Gul, the yellow carnation, and was designed by the Swedish textile artist Barbro Nilsson in 1950 for the well-known company Märta Mås Fjätterström. I chose this carpet because it's happy and colorful and not least sold for a lot of money. Most people probably think this kind of money is way too much for a carpet, but I think it should be considered as a piece of art rather than just a carpet.
Yeah,
it is
definitely.
really pretty.
And recently, the Swedish design historian Christian Björk released his huge biography on the German-Swedish architect Otto Schultz and his furniture company Boet. Furniture by Schultz have for long been sought after by collectors, and this book will certainly make Schultz even more attractive on the second-hand market. A masterpiece found on this auction is this birchwood cabinet covered in green velvet with brass nails in this geometric pattern. It looks really large in the picture, but it's actually quite small. It's just 120 centimeters tall. And the price tag is obviously remarkable, but I'm sure the prices on these kind of rare pieces by Schultz will keep on rising.
Yeah. Let's take a closer look at this functionalist pendant lamp attributed to the Swedish architect Gunnar Asplund. It was, according to Bukowskis, once owned by an employee at the Asplund studio and was produced in the 1930s. It looks much like a common 1930s ball lamp, but instead of a metal rod, the lamp is suspended from 4 metal wires securing it to the ceiling. This gives the lamp a distinctive look, minimalistic, but still with a personal touch.
Yeah.
I think it looks way cooler.
Yeah, much cooler. I would like one.
Yeah.
And now let's talk about Otto Schultz again. We must mention these 2 easy chairs produced in the mid-30s for Boet. It's a really interesting 3-legged construction with metal front legs and a single wooden back leg. They are traditional club chairs, but with a modern twist typical for Schultz. And apparently people love them because they were sold for much more than the asking price. And I like them.
You do?
Yeah.
I think they're boring.
But I think they have something. But are they stable? Will they fall over when you lean back? No.
I don't think so. Another beautiful lamp is this chandelier designed in the 20s or 30s by the silversmith Lars Holmström, produced by the Arvika Konsthantverk.
Yeah.
We've seen several similar lamps by Holmström, but this one is indeed spectacular with a large shell-shaped reflector behind each candle holder. In the center of the lamp there's a lamp bulb, making it both an electrified ceiling lamp and a cozy chandelier with living candles.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
It is a lovely example of Swedish grace, a personal favorite of mine.
Yeah.
A neoclassical aesthetic that dominated all large Swedish design exhibitions in the 20s.
Yeah.
I just love it. It's very pretty.
I agree. And obviously there were several pieces by the Austrian-Swedish architect Josef Frank made by Firma Svensk 10. In recent years, the demand for vintage Josef Frank cabinets have skyrocketed, and this is one example of this. This cabinet is probably a special commission, similar to the cabinet called 522, but much larger in size. Frank often covered his cabinets in different types of prints, and here he used a floral textile. It's definitely not a personal favorite. I think it looks a bit weird, but someone really liked it, considering the great hammer price.
Yeah, probably an old grandma.
Yeah, probably.
Another piece by Frank is this 5-seater sofa, 3031, upholstered in velvet, colored in different shades of purple.
Yeah.
And I really, really love this sofa. The use of different shades on the upholstery is so refreshing and unusual. I think it's just amazing, actually. It was originally designed in the 1940s, but looks surprisingly modern considering the design is 80 years old.
Yeah.
Personally, I prefer this sofa over the more bulky Frank sofas often sold at auctions.
Yeah. And the last Josef Frank piece we're going to show you today is this Flora chest of drawers produced in the 1950s. It's covered in floral prints by Carl-Axel Lindman, portraying different plants found in the Nordic countries. And Frank often used these prints for his furniture, and they are super popular.
Yeah,
often seen on his large cabinets too. Yeah.
Next up is this small chest that was designed by Carl Malmsten in 1944. It's richly decorated with floral inlays on 3 sides, and it looks really exclusive and expensive, I think. Malmsten was a frantic opponent of functionalism and kept on designing exclusive and decorated furniture, when his colleagues concentrated on industrial mass production and cheap materials. It's obviously traditional looking, but the shape is still minimalistic and clean with straight and simple lines.
Yeah.
But I think it's just beautiful and very unusual for him.
Yeah, with this dark color in the bottom of the pattern. Yeah.
Very pretty.
And this rare floor lamp, model 2645, was designed in the late 40s or early 50s by the architect Axel-Akin for the manufacturer Bröderna Malmströms metallvarufabrik. I guess that's a difficult name to say for someone not speaking Swedish. The base and the stem looks far from spectacular, but the 3 perforated brass shades are just beautiful. And Akin also made some similar pendant lamps, and they're always sold for huge sums of money, so I'm not surprised this floor lamp was this expensive.
I am.
Yeah.
We should also mention the pendant lamp 11555, designed by Harald Notini for Arvid Böhlmark's lampvarufabrik in the 1940s. Yeah. The ivory-colored glass shade is twisted with rattan, and that makes it look very elegant.
Yeah.
And I would also say that combination is quite unusual.
Yeah, I haven't seen it used like on any other lamp.
But still, is it really worth this much money? It's just a little...
Yeah, and you could actually, to be honest, make it yourself. You could buy us this glass lamp and then some rattan and then
that is
just
clever. Do it yourself.
Yeah. And this important and rare floor lamp was designed by the Swedish master of lighting Hans Bergström in the 1940s for his own company Atelier Lyktan. Bergström designed an almost unbelievably large amount of different lamps, and almost all of them were made in small numbers and are like close to impossible to come by today. Floor lamp number 540 is a rare find. While the metal shade looks like most other mid-century lamps, the base is nothing but a bent piece of iron tube. Wouldn't say it's a beautiful lamp, not at all actually, but it's fun and playful in a way that makes it different from most other mid-century lamps.
Totally.
Yeah.
Another lamp by Bergström sold at the auction was a large ceiling fixture called C1143. It was produced in the late 40s or early 50s and was made from a metal skeleton covered in spray-on plastic, a technique often used by Bergström. This technique made it possible to create complex shapes impossible to cover in textile. This large 76 centimeter ceiling lamp has a smooth organic shape, and I think it would look super pretty lit up.
Yeah, probably. But that's the whole thing with this pattern on the skeleton there.
But I don't know.
No. And this armchair, number 34, by Alvar and Einar Aalto, was produced in Finland already in the 30s or possibly early 40s. And it has a wonderful patina and should really cost a lot of money. But as you can see, it didn't. And I can't really understand why. I mean, it's a classic piece and it should cost way more than this $600. So it was kind of a bargain, and we can just congratulate the buyer.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Several early and rare lamps by the Swedish designer Hans-Agne Jacobsson were offered for sale as well, but most of them were either unsold or sold for significantly less than the estimate. Yeah. And that is surprising, but the demand for Jacobsson lamps seems to be declining. However, these three really nice wall lamps were sold way over the estimated price. And I can really understand why. They look absolutely adorable, and it's difficult to find three such rare lamps at the same time.
Yeah. And as always, there were Clam chairs sold at the auction. And the story behind the Clam chair is indeed a big mess, filled with misunderstandings and confusions. After lots and lots of wrongful made attributions, it was finally concluded that the Clam chair was designed in 1944 by the relatively unknown Danish designer Arnold Madsen. But just because it looks like a clam chair doesn't mean it is a clam chair. This pair of clam-looking chairs were produced in Sweden by the small manufacturer Erik Eks Snickerifabrik. The model was called Veranda, and Madsen had, obviously nothing to do with them. And take a look at the shape of the armrest and you will notice the difference. And you will definitely recognize these when you see them on the market.
Yeah. And finally, there were also quite a few Danish design classics, of course. And we have picked just one to show you.
Yeah.
This masterpiece was designed by the Danish architect Ib Kofod Larsen and was produced in the 60s by the Swedish manufacturer Säffle Möbelfabrik. It has a true minimalistic shape, except for the V-shaped legs that gives this sideboard its distinctive look. It is large, made from rosewood, and designed by a famous Danish designer, so it's no surprise that it was sold for more than $13,000.
No surprise.
But it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
For some wood.
Yeah. And this was our 20 favorites from the auction, and you should check out all the items sold. I'm sure you will find some other favorites there.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.